everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and this is the Astral Library. And it's been a hot minute, but your girl is finally done with finals. She's free! She's free and on break, and honestly slept in for the first time in forever and it was amazing. But I am back at it with a new video for you guys. This is supposed to be a recommendation video of like books that have amazing movie adaptations, but like honestly, there's a million and one of those out there. And I was just looking at my books, I was like, yeah, there's that, and that. But I was like, but you know what would be even more fun? Books that deserve a movie adaptation or a TV show adaptation, some sort of adaptation that they just like deserve, and I think would do so well being translated to a more visual media form. I think they would just do so well because they're already amazing as books. So if they equally get the great treatment that they need, I think these would blow people out of the water. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna have a recommendation of books that just absolutely needed adaptation, and a good one, of course, because we know some of these adaptations be out here ruining books. We do not wish that on these books. We wish these books amazing adaptations with great cast and actors and music and production, all of that, okay? I got 5 books for you guys today, so we're gonna go ahead and just jump straight in. The first one, I had to start with a favorite. I did. I think this would be an amazing grim dark kind of fantasy series. Not necessarily like in the sense of like Game of Thrones, which everything's like gritty, dark, and you could barely see any fucking thing, and 1,000,001 characters and everyone is unsafe. That's cool and fun, but I want something that has that kind of grim dark feel, but is also so captivating in other ways. And for that, I thought the perfect series was, of course, 7 Blades of Black by Sam Sykes. So this is the first book in the Empire Grave trilogy, and oh my god, this book is so much fun. It's funny, it's heartbreaking, it's emotional, it's grim dark fantasy in all the right ways. We're in this very gritty world with a character who kind of flippant but also still not afraid of being the villain. It's everything and more you could want. So if you don't know, this book follows our main character, Sal the Cacophony, who is by all accounts a vagrant outlaw. We're in a world where magic users are often conscripted into the Empire and used as an army, but if you do not obey and you break away from that, you become an outlaw. And Sal is a special kind of outlaw because her magic was stolen and she was left for dead, and she is out for revenge for the people who did that to her. Oh, this book, it's amazing. I don't want to tell you anything about this book because it's just one of those that have such a fun vibe, and it's almost better if you go in only knowing the bare minimum, because the way this world unfurls and the way you learn more about not only Sal but all the other characters in the world, I think is just so beautifully done. The fact that Sal is a bisexual main character who has a very well written female love interest, that their relationship is complicated and beautiful and have you rooting for them the whole time. Oh my god, I devoured these books, and I've read this book in particular at least 3 times, and it's not a thin book, okay? This is a thickum, but it's so good. Sal is such a brash character in a way that it's just so lovable. And I really love how this series is told, because it's told as a story within a story. We have an outside narrator who is hearing the story from Sal's perspective. We get Sal's little nitpick insights. We get her laughs and her jokes and her obviously talking to us as if we are the other narrator. It's themes of not only revenge and friendship and found family, but also magic, I think are something a lot of people would be interested by. And I think would really translate well to a good adaptation, not only for the world itself, which we have like these memorable settings of like almost a kind of like Trigun deserty vibe, but also paired with like high tech cities of like magic, kind of like the City of Industry in Caine. Those are just some of the like settings we get in this series I think would draw a lot of people and would allow a lot of animators and or set designers to really show their chops. I don't care if this gets an animated adaptation or if it gets a real life adaptation. I think either would be cool, as long as the magic, which in this world is so fascinating because it's magic with actual consequences. There are actual consequences to using magic in this book that become the forefront. These are not just all powerful magic and mages. No, they have drawbacks, and we get to see how those actually interplay in fights. That makes the fight so much more dynamic. It gives it much more risk because they cannot go on for super long without those drawbacks coming into play. Everything about this is so exciting. It's fast-paced, it's fun, it's gritty, it's humorous, it's got really really lovable characters, that you can have a very diverse cast, both in terms of gender and sexuality, but also you can have a whole cast of different races playing each of these characters. All I know is if this gets an adaptation, it gets a real life adaptation, Sal needs to be a big butch buff woman, because Sal is a fucking brick house. And I don't want any little dainty thing trying to bulk up. I want a big buff butch woman playing Sal the Cacophony, because goddamn. Pivoting away from fantasy for just a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and something I think would be really well done as like a thriller mystery movie, and that is Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Caine. There's so much I could say about this series. I think this is a series we need right now. I think this would be the perfect thing to get adapted in just this day and age, with like wave of dark romance, but also true crime podcast like being at its all-time high right now. And I just think this is such a well done thriller that encapsulates some of those themes. So if you don't know, Stillhouse Lake is technically a series, but the first 2 books follow the same plot line. So you could read this as a duology and get away. I think there's 5 books in total. Rachel Caine actually passed away not too long ago, I believe, so there's no more books in the series, unfortunately. You can read the first 2 books as a duology and be okay, because they are an encapsulated storyline. So if you don't know, Stillhouse Lake follows our main character, Gina, who was married to a serial killer, and she had no idea until one day someone crashes into her garage and reveals her husband's murder room. Jump forward many years, and Gina is trying to remake her life and to make sure her and her kids have new identities, are able to move on for their lives after what she found out her husband did and was doing in their garage. However, Gina has been constantly stalked down by her husband's fans, as well as people who would love to see her be punished, because no one believes that she had nothing to do or knew nothing about what her husband was doing in that garage. This is a series that I picked up by random. I think I read the first book through an Amazon first try, and when I tell you, I was blown away, because the way this book gripped me and how Gina as a character was just so fascinating to watch. Someone who was very meek and kind of powerless under her husband by his design comes to become this more powerful figure who is not only trying to protect her kids, but also trying to find her own strength and individualism again after that abusive relationship. It's a great insight on looking at the effects of like the murders on their families, which is something I think we kind of forget a lot about. Overcoming that, of course, there's a little bit of romance in this, so there's a little bit of something for everyone. And I think this will translate very well into a movie, because action-packed, it's suspenseful, it's got that love interest, and I think the setting, which is a house set on a lake, is very picturesque, that you can get these like very serene shots and really see kind of, again, the overall effects of like what happens to the serial killer's family, because oftentimes they do have families, they have wives, they have kids. How do they live their lives after that? How do they reconcile this image of dad and husband to serial killer? And I think this book handles it very well, looking into how that abuse often translates to the home life in subtle ways, maybe not to the same extreme as their victim, but in ways that is still recognizable. Great series, so good. Definitely deserves a movie adaptation. Okay, continuing away from my fantasy, because if you know me, I'll go back to fantasy all the time. This next one, I think there needs to be one adaptation of this woman's work, okay? There needs to be one, and the one I want, the one I think would do the best and I think that most people would vibe with, Vicious by V.E. Schwab. That weird mix of like dark academia and sci-fi and superheroes, which is such an odd combination. If like you really look at it, I never know where to put the superheroes in terms of genre. Are they sci-fi? Are they fantasy? Who knows what they are? But this one just handles superheroes very well. Almost in a sense of like The Boys, if you ever seen that show, where we have superheroes gone wrong. And in this case, we have 2 people who are obsessed with this idea of like superpowers and immortality, and both go very wrong. So if you don't know, Vicious follows our 2 main characters, Victor and Eli, who are college roommates that are kind of obsessed with each other as much as they are obsessed with the science of possibly creating supernatural powers. And while they're kind of theorizing how they do it, they come up with the idea of how to actually bring that theory into an experimental form. But something goes horribly wrong, and Victor actually ends up in jail. But more than that, we jump forward a few years to when Victor is getting out, and he has sworn complete and total revenge on Eli. So this book is actually a jump back and forth between their time in college and their present timeline, as we figure out not only what exactly went wrong with these experiments, but why is Victor so out for Eli. This book is a fucking ride. need, okay? There's just enough tension between the two characters to be like a will they, won't they? I think really cool sci-fi elements that I think will grab a lot of people. The dark academia setting, the academic rivalry between Victor and Eli is also just chef's kiss, so well done. The simplicity of the plot, it is not something that's overly complicated, but the characters and the relationships make it more complicated and really give a chance for them to shine, and I think would really translate well to a show setting, because it is a lot harder to transfer a world from a book into a movie, because a movie only has a set amount of time. Even TV shows, they only have a set amount of time where they're able to convey certain themes, messages, locations. They're not able to do it all, and that's often where it goes wrong, that they try to translate it all. Everyone has their thoughts and opinions about what should get cut and what shouldn't. Because this is a very simplistic setting and we get a lot of the tension and the plot being driven through the characters, I think that is something that can be very easily adapted through actors acting and kind of the music choices and the way that characters can subtly even look at each other. I think that would be so much fun to see come to life on the screen, especially if you get actors that have really good chemistry with each other. Oh my god, because the tension between Victor and Eli was already electric on the page. Could you imagine if we get the smoldering looks in person? I'd eat up that show. I could take like a CW level bad version of this show just if they give me that tension just well enough. I'm talking like early 2000s, maybe like mid 2000s to like 2010 CW era. Fucking say less. I think this shit would eat. Okay, I debated not doing this one because this author already has a really amazing TV show out on Netflix, but I think this is one that desperately needs, not only because I think the book's amazing, but I think it's just something that is missing in the current space, and that is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. So everyone and their mother knows about Heartstopper. It's cute, it's beautiful, I love it to pieces. The Netflix show I hear is so well done. It is still a romance. And I think what Radio Silence would really do for the market is to give a non-romantic story to young people growing up. Because this is still a book which we get unmistakably queer characters that don't necessarily have to fall in love to feel complete. Okay, I love romance. Let me put this out there. I love romance. I want a romantic connection. I do, I get it, I do, but I don't want everything to be romance. I don't necessarily need that. I don't want completion and feeling whole in yourself to be connected only to romance, which is why I think Radio Silence needs an adaptation. So in this book, we are following our main characters, Francis and Alan, teenagers in their final years of high school and getting ready to figure out what the hell they're gonna do with their life. Francis loves art, and she's actually a really big fan of this podcast called Universe City, and she makes fan art for it. Well, one day, the creator of Universe City reaches out and wonders if she wants to collab on some art. Unbeknownst to her, that person was Alan, who lives across the street from her. And they end up forming this friendship and becoming co-creators for Universe City and producing more art as well as episodes. And as they get closer, they start to realize more and more things about themselves. Francis starts seeing things that are wrong in Alan's home. Alan sees that Francis is dealing with her sexuality, and we just really see them grow as individuals and are faced with the question of like, what do you want to do with your life when you're told that by 17, 18 that you need to have your whole life figured out and your whole trajectory and future planned out. And these kids are very much like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to go to college. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know if I can make a living. All of those kind of like pressures that are very, very common in kids in high school and younger. I think this book just handles in such a beautiful way. And again, does not rely on romance to fully make a person feel comfortable in themselves, because we have a variety of different characters and a variety of different sexualities that are all treated as normal and present and have a voice in all of Alice Oseman's books. Like, she's the queen for a reason in the LGBT community, especially the YA LGBT community. And I think Radio Silence is one of her best works because it doesn't need the romance for these characters to feel whole. We get a happy ending for our characters, and it's a beautiful one. I think it's really fitting for the story and journey these characters go throughout this book. It's so well done, and I think it needs the Heartstopper treatment. I really do. Again, I think it's so important to not only give kids multiple people to see on screen that look like them, that are like them in terms of sexuality, gender, the whole shebang, but also that don't rely on this idea of like romance and frankly sex to kind of get this idea of being whole. Sex can't make you whole. Romance can't necessarily make you whole. You have to be whole as an individual to be whole. I wish there was more books like this, and I definitely wish there was more TV shows like this. Romance sells for a very good reason. We all love romance. It's the highest selling genre by far, has been for eons. I wish there was more shows like this. I wish there was more stories like this, and I think this would be so beneficial for more kids to not only read, but also to see. And I saved the best for last, if I'm honest, because I think this one would just be not only be amazing to see translated to the big screen, but also just be so fucking easy. It's right there. It's relevant. It's so much fun. I had a conversation in my comments about this recently, but it is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This one needs to be a TV show or a Lord of the Rings length movie, okay? Because when I tell you, this would just go so hard. It would go so hard as a movie or TV show. Oh my God. If you've been living under a rock and you haven't read Legendborn, first off, pause this video, come back later. It's fine. Go read this thing because you'll thank me later. That's why. Legendborn follows our main character, Bree, who has recently lost her mother. And after Bree loses her mother, she's starting to dissociate from life. She wants to get away from everything and just have a little room to breathe. And so she decides to apply to this college program that allows high schoolers to go to college a little bit early over the summer and study classes. While Bree is there, however, she goes to a frat party and encounters a demon and monsters that are feeding off of human energies. But more than that, she also encounters a secret society that is fighting them. And so when they try to wipe Bree's memory and it doesn't work, Bree finds herself embroiled more and more in the secret society, which is actually a rebirth of the Knights of the Round Table from the Arthurian legend. And so Bree finds herself not only embedded in this world of good versus evil, but she also finds out that she may be more connected than she originally thought, because some of the members she remembers seeing at the hospital on her mother's death. And now she is beginning to doubt whether or not her memories of her mother's death are actually what happened. Ad nauseum, I've talked about this book and how much I love it. But because it's just that bitch. It's just that bitch, okay? Because we have not only a commentary on college and academia and the systemic race issues within that, we got a badass female BIPOC lead. Check. We have interesting systems of magic, both from the Arthurian legend as well as a more Black-rooted magic system with deep reaching implications and history behind it. Check. We have a fun cast of characters. Check. We have interesting romance options. Not love interest options. There's options here. Check. We have a secret society that is up to possibly nefarious things and yet are more far-reaching than we originally thought. Check. We have monsters and demons that are unique and familiar and all sorts of bad. Or are they? Check. You should give it a read, and then you will agree with me that this would be the easiest thing to fucking adapt into a movie or TV show. I don't know which one I'd want more. I think a TV show. I think I would love to see this, like, season 1 is book 1, season 2 is book 2, and season 3 is book 3, which I haven't read yet, so don't spoil it in the comments for me, okay? She deserves it. It would be easy. It would be amazing. And I think would be so important in this day and age, not only just for the commentary it offers on academia, but the commentary it offers on society and the way in which we treat history, because this world and our society, especially in the US, is turning their backs on history more and more. And this is a book that tells you you cannot do that, nor will it let you. All right, everyone, but those were 5 books that I think would do amazing as TV show or movie adaptations. And honestly, producers, film studios, if you're watching this for some reason, take a screenshot, hit me up. I'll gladly be giving you cast suggestions, music recommendations, and people who I'd want to see direct this, okay? But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's gonna be it for me. If you liked it, consider leaving a thumbs up and a comment down below. Let me know who would you cast for some of these books. Or if there's a book that you think, Emily, this needs to be a movie or TV show, leave it in the comments down below. I'm here to kiki and yap with you for as long as you want, okay? I'm here, let's chat. But like I said, that's gonna be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!